Okay. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. It is May 4th already. I can't even hardly believe it. And tonight's topic is something I am extremely excited about. It is called Midlife Metabolism Reset. And I've got my good friend, Kim, here, who is an expert in this area, who's going to help us all about this. But if this is your first time on Wellness Wednesday, I want to say welcome. What we do here is educate people on health topics and in a different way of approaching them. Sometimes we talk about traditional ways, and sometimes we talk about just the natural way so that we can all be a little bit more proactive in our health. This is really about education and giving us the right tools to feel confident in our health, because I think that's what all of us desire, is just feeling confident. We can do better when we know what to do. That's what I think all the time. If I knew what to do, because if you've never heard me, I'm Shauna Mucklow from Nebraska. I'm a wellness warrior. About 6 years ago, I started down this wellness path, and I didn't know. I grew up with a family who we didn't talk about health. It was kind of like, eat what you want, do what you want, go to the doctor, and they'll figure it out for you. You know what I mean? It was way more reactive health. And honestly, I looked at my parents and I was like, I don't want that, because they weren't in the best health at that time when I was like mid-30s. And I thought, I want to do things different. And so that's why I've become a wellness warrior. And I believe all of you to be that as well, if you're here and wanting to just learn a little bit more, right? Just learn. And so let's just dive right into the topic tonight. I want to introduce my beautiful friend, Kim, who is an expert in this area. Guys, she has done all things. I'm going to let her talk about her background here for a second so you understand how she's become an expert in this area. Kim, welcome to our Wellness Wednesday call. We're so happy you're here.
Hey, Shauna, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm so honored to be able to participate in this awesome event series that you're putting together. So, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you become an expert, especially in this topic of like women's health and wellness? Tell us your journey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my journey started when I was 18 years old, and I found myself lying in a hospital room, having just suffered a blood clot in my brain, a major stroke, unable to speak, unable to move the right-hand side of my body. And it was pharmaceutically induced. And the doctors were really excited to tell me that for the rest of my life, I was going to be on a good handful of medicines with limitations to my lifestyle. And that was their solution. And it really didn't resonate with me, because I figured, like when you break your finger, your body knows how to heal itself. And that's a pretty complicated process. So it just seemed natural to me that my body would know how to heal this as well. And so at a very early age, I just became a wellness explorer. And long story short, I was able to get my brain scans cleared. I was able to get off all the medications. And then I just had this passion in my heart for my own self-care, but also had a passion in my heart to be able to tell the story that is typically untold. The story that your body is powerful and that it's designed to thrive. And so I just stepped into a profession that started with massage therapy and polarity therapy and the study of a lot of different nutritional philosophies and herbology and homeopathy, and the list goes on and on and on, because my passion was really about how do I connect people to the truth that exists within them and give them the best results possible. So I was a practitioner, I was a teacher, I was the director of education for a massage and polarity therapy school. I was the founder of a community wellness center. I'm a health coach, team sales leader. And so all of those things are always wrapped around how can I empower people to understand how amazing they really are. And that's what's been the cornerstone to my career.
You inspire me, girl. Like the fact that at the age of 18, you saw that and you're like, I see this differently. I want to do something differently. Like that's a leader. So congratulations. That's fantastic, guys. She is an expert in this area. We haven't someone who's even lived it. And so that's what I think is really, really special about you, Kim, in this area is you're not only an expert who teaches people, but you have such a passion because you lived it. So I'm so happy you're here. So let's talk about that because, I said earlier, I'm 42 and it's almost like you cross that threshold of midlife, right? 40-ish. And you go, what is this body? Because I feel like I have to have a whole new way of taking care of it because it's behaving a little bit differently. And earlier today, you talked about like mindset and how like we're all told this is going to happen. Menopause is coming. If this and this and this is going to happen, it's inevitable. Talk to us about that and your philosophy behind that.
Yeah. I mean, it really was when I stepped into midlife. And despite the fact that I was health committed, living a healthy lifestyle, eating healthy food, doing healthy movement, all the things, and I found my body starting to break down, that I really had to stop and think and say, well, is there something more? I mean, earlier in my life, I was able to carve out a different path. Is there something different? Like, what is it? Because the reality is at the age of 40, you're handed a black and white balloon that says over the hill. You show up at your doctor's office and suddenly all the things that you're experiencing are due to you're just getting older, right? Your aunts, your mom, your grandmother, they kind of slap you on the back and kind of give you a sorority little punch in the shoulder and say, welcome to the club. This is a prophecy of gaining weight, losing energy, and having your body break down. Welcome to the club. So there's kind of like this very, very well-trodden path of mentality, of mindset, of inevitability that is both medical, familial, and cultural. So the very first thing that I find is really important is to really honor that little voice inside you that says, maybe there's something different. Maybe there's something better. Because what I've learned through both my own experience as well as working with so many other people is unless we start really listening to that voice and owning it and claiming it, because here's the thing. If you choose to live differently, you suffer consequences. It's true. You show up to Thanksgiving dinner and there is the all famous lemon chiffon pie or whatever it is in your family, right? That Aunt Marissa makes. Everybody loves it. Everybody raves about it. And you walk by it and you don't eat it because you're making different lifestyle choices. And they see that as not loving you. They don't see it as you're making a lifestyle choice. They see it as you're now counter to what I and we have always done. Oh, just one bite. It won't hurt you. Gosh, what are you doing? Something healthy? Ha, 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 ha. Right? And so unless we get our mindset straight and we know that our inner voice always tells the truth, there is something different for us to be able to do. Unless we get our mindset straight and start listening to our body and are ready and equipped to be able to be the weird ones, the pioneers, suffer some judgment from others and just know that it's their flavor of love. Unless we're ready to do that and sit in front of our doctor who shrugs. When I go to the doctor and they're staring at the computer screen, because that's what they do now, right? And they're asking the questions and they say, what medicines you are on? And you say none. And that's the only time they turn and look at you. You're not on any medicines, right? Unless you're willing to like challenge even your doctor, then you're not really committed to walking a different path. So I would say the mindset is actually cornerstone to any divergence from the norm one might want to make.
You guys, don't you just love her? That's some real talk right there. She just like hits to my core on a couple things. Like I am so guilty of like, okay, I'll try it because you brought it. And if I don't eat it, then you're not going to like me. You know what I mean? Like kind of thing. I am so guilty of that. That is some real talk. So who is ready? Let's just know from the chat, guys. Put in the chat. Are you ready to literally just say, I deserve better? I know there's some other way and I deserve it. Like, I'm going to do things a little bit differently so that I can feel my best and live my longest, healthiest life. Because that's, to me, what this is all about. So put I will do better. I deserve it in the chat box. I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. So let's talk about that. I mean, hormones, right? When we talk about midlife, we got to talk about hormones, right? Mm-hmm. And they do start doing some interesting things. We talked about that this afternoon. Kim, you wanted to talk a little bit about what they do, mm-hmm. and how we can buffer that situation so that we don't feel wacky.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is both for men and for women, right? Men go through a menopause variation, but I'm a woman and I focus on women. So excuse me, men, I honor you that you're here. I'm so happy that you're here, but I'm going to use predominantly female language accidentally and out of habit. Okay. So just know that I'm honoring you as well. There are 3 key hormones that we typically see as the main actors in the play of perimenopause and midlife, right? Those are estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. We talk about them, we joke about them, we associate them with the all famous, ever famous hot flashes, right? We talk about these characters, and yes, they are changing. Estrogen is going down, progesterone is going down, testosterone is going down. Okay. And some people do choose to go on hormone replacement therapy, maybe even bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. That is not what I'm talking about because I'm not a doctor and I can't go on those because they might kill me. So the reality is what we are is, I'm going to say this a lot, we are designed to thrive. Our bodies are designed to navigate perimenopause, navigate midlife, even with these 3 key main character hormones in a way that is as gentle as we can imagine. We don't talk about this ever, and you will never hear your doctor say this, but Google it, okay? We have 2 little glands on top of our kidneys, and they're called adrenal glands. Have you ever heard of adrenaline? Right? Or adrenal fatigue.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Those 2 little glands on top of our kidneys are magical. They're very flexible in creating different hormones, and they can create estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. In fact, during midlife, if we are having symptoms of estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone deficiency, which is all the list of the perimenopause hormone changes, it is a good sign that our adrenals are too tired to do their job. Okay. So there is a better way if we live our lifestyle in a way to replenish our adrenals, they can actually buffer the symptoms. Isn't that kind of cool? What do you think about that? Like our bodies are designed to be able to take care of itself? Yes, they are. You mean I'm not deficient in a pharmaceutical? No, you're not. But as Americans, you may have heard this. Raise your hand if you have. America runs on Dunkin'. Have you ever heard that? America runs on Dunkin'. What it really means is America runs on adrenaline. Okay, because every time we take that little cup of Joe with the amazing spike of sugar, have you ever seen them pump that sugar in there? It is basically causing an adrenaline spike, which we are not meant to have on a daily basis. Our adrenals are being taxed by this artificial lifestyle of pumping ourselves with adrenal stimulants and going. Oh gosh, it's too tired to take care of this hormone shift. Well, what if we just say, how do we take care of my adrenals? How do I partner with my body? Well, it's pretty simple. Do you like going on a walk? Like a saunter. I like the word saunter because it people can go for a walk and still be like I mean, like saunter, like smell the roses, look at the leaves on the trees, just walk. That's soothing for our nervous system. It's soothing to our soul and our body. Eating a bunch of veggies to get increased levels of potassium, eating healthy proteins. These are all things we should be doing anyways, right? Having some good healthy B vitamins or eating nutritional yeast. These are all things that, gosh, our body, you'd think our body likes that, doing that anyway. So it's basically giving us an excuse to take a nap, maybe even without feeling guilty, because I am taking this nap not for myself. I am taking this nap for my adrenals. Thank you so very much. So it's as if we're doing it for someone else.
That's a great out. I love it. I'm doing it for my adrenals.
Yep. So we are empowered to be able to tap into our body's wisdom and allow for that hormone process, because those hormones, when they're all out of skew, they are affecting our metabolism. And we'll talk about that. But specifically, I wanted you to know you are in control. Your adrenals can help you.
I love that. So I think that everything has a root cause. Like, we just took our daughter the first time she's been sick in like 6 years that I've ever had to take her to the doctor, but I thought it was something we could help at home, and it just kept progressing, and the white pockets came on the tonsils, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, we're past it. We got to go in. And she ended up having a kind of really weird cultural influenza, but bacterial influenza. And so, but I kept saying, why did we get it? Why did we get it? Why did we get it? You know what I mean? And I think we always have to do that. And I think that's just because I've been a wellness warrior. And it's hilarious because we started looking at all the things you just mentioned. Like, we needed to up some of the vitamin intake because we knew it had to do with something happening for a depleted system that she got the bacteria infection in the first place, right? And so we get to work on the system itself. And I think that that's what I just heard you say is like, get to work on the adrenals. So you just gave us some things that we can do to help adrenals, like slow down, rest your nervous system, right? So walk, you mentioned saunter, B vitamins, you mentioned eating good, healthy nutrients, right? And anything else that I missed? I was just kind of recapping.
Avoid processed food.
Avoid processed foods. Okay, so let's go there. What else is the probably one thing that harms all of us the most, especially at midlife, that we do to our bodies?
Yeah. And I'll actually kind of turn it specifically towards metabolism, because that's why we're all here, right? We're like, why am I gaining this weight? What's going on?
Today,
I feel so
when I said that I feel like I have this different body, like I was working out, you like HIIT workouts, 60-minute, I mean, getting my heart rate pumping, all the good stuff, right? I like it. I was doing it 4 to 5 times a week, and I started gaining weight. And I was like, and like around my belly, and I was like, what is happening? Like my body was starting to shift. And so when we talk about the weight gain roller coaster midlife, so let's talk about metabolism. Let's dive in.
Yeah. I mean, the same exact thing happened to me, actually. I was going to the gym 7 days a week, not because I'm obsessive. I just really like to move. And I was eating, my healthy home cooked organic meals. I was doing all the things, and yet suddenly it was uncontrollable that I was gaining weight. And I remember after a couple of years, I was driving home from the gym with my husband, and I looked at him and I said, maybe it's true. Maybe my body's just broken. And I just remember like feeling so out of control with it all, but I still didn't. That wasn't the line that was drawn in the sand. It wasn't until a few months later that my husband came home and he said, "Gall, dang it. They said I have to go on a statin. I'm not going on a statin." That's what, doing it for somebody else. That's what drew the line in the sand. I was like, we have been gaining weight. This is not the show that we are going to be playing. And I dove in. I just happened to have a couple of weeks where I was going to be able to do some intensive research. That's called vacation. And just geeked out and started looking at all the new research and realizing that what we were doing is eating a low fat diet, trying to restrict calories, and that doesn't work with midlife. we had resilient enough bodies to do that in our younger days, but hormone transformation times really require healthy fats. In fact, we have a generation of young women that were brought up in the 80s. PCOS, huge spike in PCOS with women that were brought up in the 80s. Why? We had such a fat restrictive diet. Okay. So I started putting the puzzle pieces together and put together a new eating routine for my husband and I. And between the two of us, we accidentally lost 100 pounds, like within a shortish period of time.
It really was quite the transformation. Like I saw her one time and then I saw her again. I was like, whoa, it was awesome.
Yeah. And it was like, wow,
and
what?
You started just sauntering, walking.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Although I do love a good hip routine though. I'm just a sucker for movement. I love movement. But yeah, we lost about 100 pounds. And the cool thing is we were never hungry. We were never feeling restricted, deprived. We just felt healthy and happy. And so the key component to that all is understanding a hormone called insulin. Now, we think about insulin when we think about diabetes, right? And maybe you've even heard the term insulin resistance, right? There's some people who come home from the doctor and are like, oh my gosh, I'm insulin resistant. Well, I want to tell you a quick little story about this hormone. It is a superhero in our body, especially in our modern day body, because it is a master at being able to take glucose out of our body, out of our bloodstream. Our bloodstream only wants about a teaspoon of glucose. Glucose is how our body takes in carbohydrates. It turns it into glucose. Again, no matter if it's organic bread or a Snickers bar, turns it into glucose. And our body only wants about a teaspoon in our bloodstream at any given time. So insulin, if there's more than a teaspoon, is called on. The pancreas produces it. And it is like emergency mode. I have got to get this glucose out of here. And there's a very predictable route that it goes to try to store it. The first place it goes to is the cells. It says, hey, cells, do you need any glucose in there? And the cells might say, yeah, I do. I need some, but not all of it. That's too much for me. And then insulin says, okay, I still got more. What do I do? And it runs over to the muscles. It says, hey, muscles, do you need some glucose for energy storage? Yeah, we do. We need a little bit, but not all of it because we ate too much carbohydrate, too much to store. So then it goes to the liver and it says, hey, liver, can you take some on? Yep, I got some. So it takes some on, but not all of it. Too much glucose for me. They all have limited storage supplies, the cells, the muscles, and the liver. You know where we have unlimited storage supply capacity? Our fat cells. Okay. So that's when insulin then says, thank goodness I've got all this storage because this person has they're consuming enough carbohydrates and I can't keep up with the limited storage systems. It's going to fat. That's literally what happens. Now, when insulin is turned on, its counterpart, which is called glucagon, funny name, huh? Glucagon, its job is to actually take fat out of storage and burn it as energy. Those two cannot be on at the same time. So if we're eating in a way that is constantly supplying glucose to the bloodstream and insulin is constantly on, glucagon can't turn on. And our cells are not running out of, are not using the glucose enough to take on new storage. The muscles aren't, the liver isn't. It's just piling and piling and piling up in the fat stores. So the reality is I don't want to say all. One of the key things that we started doing is eating with mindfulness around glucose and making sure that we did things like not eating for 16 hours at a time. Because when you go to bed, if you don't eat right before bed and then you go to sleep and then you wake up and you wait a little while, that's a 16-hour window of not eating. 14 to 16 hours is a good time period, enough for at least for your cells to make new room, your muscles to make, maybe if you wake up and you do a HIIT training before you eat, well, now you've opened up more storage room in your muscles, right? So when insulin comes in, hey, do you want some? Yeah, I got some room. Okay. So that's one of the things, is being aware of the eating window to make sure that we're making room for more glucose, and then being really aware of taking in less glucose than we were. You know, if you're diabetic, they're going to say not to take in more than 150 grams of glucose a day. The reality is, if you want to lose weight, there's a carbohydrate curve that if you eat less than 100 carbohydrates a day, you're typically going to lose some weight. Between 100 and 150 is typically right around the maintenance zone. And then, of course, there's the ever famous ketosis, right? That is the holy grail of low carb eating, which is typically between under 50 grams of carbohydrates. Now, not everybody needs to be in ketosis, nor do they need to be in ketosis all the time, but just being aware of the carbohydrate levels and what your goals are, and then being just mindfully aware of, have I given my body enough time to use the stored up glucose so that it's ready to consume more? And then just looking at carb levels. There's all kinds of apps out there where you can look at carb levels of food really easily, or you can Google it. Like, it's surprising, an apple, 26 grams, right? So they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And yes, it's very healthy. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's surprising that we say, oh yeah, I'm having this really healthy juice right now, and it's all fruit juice. It's not greens and different lower carbohydrate plant-based foods. It's all high spiking fruits. It's healthy though. It can be healthy, but it's also a huge sugar spike. So where do I want my insulin levels? And that has been cornerstone to that awareness alone has been cornerstone to a lot of transformation for a lot of my clients, and for myself and my husband as well.
I think it's so interesting you say that. I really did some research as well when this all started happening to me, and really dialed in eating healthy fats along with my lean proteins and non-starchy vegetables. That's my focus right now. And guys, I'm not even kidding. I've lost 10 pounds in 3 weeks. Like, it's happening fast, but I'm really, really being mindful of that low carb, because I knew that had everything we've done enough of these Wellness Wednesdays. I've heard enough about insulin and hormones to know that that's the trigger, and we have to get mindful of it if we want to change it. And I'll be honest with you, I have changed my workouts to, I do a 2-mile walk in the morning, and walk, not like, I get my heart rate up and I'm and then I try and do a walk in the evening, and just to keep my body moving, because I know movement's so important. So it can be done, and I'm a testament of, like, I'm starting that journey, and we'll see where it goes, but I'm really excited about it. So here is another little tip. If you're down to do it, anybody down to do it, I think I'm going to do this experiment with my kids. I have 2 children, 16-year-old and a 12-year-old. And visually, it's so interesting to see. I had a friend do this. She put mason jars on the counter, and for a total of 7 days, everything she made, she poured, or everything they ate, like if they were eating cereal, she poured how many grams of carbs, and not just sugar, carbs, because carbs turn to sugar. And by the time, like, she kind of journaled this on social media, by the time the end of the week was over, there was 4 mason jars full of sugar between her 2 children.
Wow.
insane. We have no idea because we eat it in these little bite-sized pieces, but even just over a week's time, take a look at what that happens. Everything you drink, everything you eat, do it for a day, do it for 2 days. That will help change your mind. So if anybody's down to do that, I think that's a really interesting experiment, especially if you have children, to help them kind of change their mindset as well. So sugar is a huge culprit. Just eliminate it, right? Like as much as you can. I'm not saying you have to never eat sugar again, because I'll be honest, I'll take a bite of pie if I want it. You know what I mean? Like I'll be in that space. But let's be mindful. Like, can we all just say we're going to be more mindful? Because if that's what it's going to take to have a better next half of our life, right? We're talking about midlife and better metabolism so we can live healthier, longer. I'm down. I'm totally willing. So I hope that you all are too. Kim, let's talk about maybe a couple of, besides sugar, let's talk about, we said some solutions. So any ideas on like quick snacks, because I'm an on the go person. And that's probably my, like, if we don't plan like crazy, it's hard, right, guys? Like it's hard to eat right if you don't plan. And so Kim, do you have any suggestions in that area?
Yeah, quick snacks for on the go people. And then also a couple of health hacks for on the go people too,
Perfect.
because it really is important to honor our lifestyle, not be in denial about it, right? Because if you're in denial, you can't prepare for it. So some really easy, healthy snacks, thinking of it from the perspective of balancing carbohydrates and proteins and healthy fats. A really good high fat, healthy fat nut is macadamia nuts. Really healthy. Walnuts, really healthy. If somebody wanted to bring that typical snack of an apple, which is an easy grab and go, eating it with something like almond butter or with something like walnuts. So just being mindful of not just having that high carbohydrate insulin spiking food, but balancing it with some healthy fats and some healthy proteins.
Veggies and hummus is one of my favorites, guys. Veggies and hummus.
Yeah, some really good hummus out there. And then, it's so quick. It's like as quick to peel an apple and cut up an apple as it is to slice an avocado in half. And I don't know about you, but spritz some lemon on that and cut up some cilantro on it, and you've got yourself the best simple little guacamole. It doesn't have to be like, I'm gonna go like get a recipe for guacamole. Just smash up that avocado, throw in some cilantro, and spritz a little lime juice on it. You got yourself a really great, healthy snack that, because it has the lime juice in it, it's also not going to spoil very easily. So you can even just bring it in a Tupperware with you on the road and throw it back to the kids. Super tasty and nutrient dense. You can put it on like some seed-based crackers versus a wheat-based cracker. They have a lot of gluten-free, really well-balanced crackers out there, or things like I am a chocoholic. I love chocolate, but I know that making a choice around chocolate and just having some dark chocolate, right? Some 75% or more, dipping it in almond butter because you're balancing your fats. Plus, it's kind of like a Reese's peanut butter cup, right? And then I love making we make a big bowl of chocolate chia seed pudding almost every week, and a bowl of coconut whipped cream, which you just take the can of coconut milk, you put it in the fridge to cool it off, put it in a cooled bowl and mix it just like you would regular whipped. It takes 5 minutes, and you've got a nice big bowl of whipped cream, which is also really delicious if you're going to make like either a fatted tea or a fatted chai or a fatted coffee. A nice little dollop of that coconut whipped cream on there with a little cinnamon on top is really, really yummy, yummy, yummy. So just thinking about mindfully, and don't I have found it really helpful to just find things that I'm never going to get bored with, and kind of have a capsule routine. Like, here's the 6 things that I kind of typically eat. Okay. It's all built around vegetable, protein, healthy fats. And then a couple of health hacks. Number 1, gut health is so key to metabolism. And so having a good, healthy probiotic is key. I also have found that in midlife, brain fog is a real thing, right? And so I use a really healthy nootropic that also has B vitamins in it. Remember, B vitamins are actually really good for your adrenals too. So it's a nice little healthy kind of multitasking hack there. And, I drink one with Wonder Woman because that's the mindset as well. And it just really kind of allows me to kick into gear when I want to kick into gear. And then there's something called NRF2 activation, NRF2, NRF2. It's kind of funky, but NRF2 is actually a part of your body. Okay, remember, I like things that are parts of your body. And so a NRF2 activator is activating this part of your body. And here's what it does, folks. It activates around 400 genes in your DNA that are called survival genes. Now, if something is called a survival gene, do you suspect that it may be important to activate it?
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. And so all of these things, why I love them is because basically you can take a couple little pills, put them by your breakfast plate. It doesn't have to be some huge to-do where you put, lifestyle changes on your to-do list and they fall off your to-do list. And the nootropic just gives me more time in my day and more productivity in my day. And those are the three things that I really, really recommend as kind of foundational to people in midlife.
I'm so thankful that, so NRF2, the introduction to this idea and concept of NRF2 technology, actually my doctors shared it with me. And that is really what set me on this path of wellness. When I heard that there was something that I could, and it, by the way, it's one little pill with 5 natural ingredients. And my doctors were so excited about the science behind this that I was like, what do you say it does? And they're like, it's basically going to make you live healthier longer because it's going to help your body, kind of like you said with the adrenals, it's going to help your body just thrive from the inside. It's not supplementing a bunch of stuff. It's just helping your body. And that philosophy intrigued me. And they're like, there's so much more to learn about it. And so that sent me on this crazy path for the last 6 years. And I couldn't be more thankful because I'll be honest with you, God knew I needed it before I really did, because fast forward 5 years, I found out I had a genetic mutation. And one of those survival genes that Kim talked about was the first study I ever looked at that showed that it upregulates that gene that I have that's not good. And so I was like, well, God knew, and God put me on that path. So guys, if you want to learn a little bit more, you don't know about NRF2, get with the person who invited you. And if you, they probably take a probiotic as well, ask them what that is. And this nootropic drink that the two of us share the love for is absolutely phenomenal. So if you need a healthy, yummy pick me up that's going to do more than just pick up your brain, but pick up your entire body, it's a really good option for you as well. Kim, let's wrap it up. Any last closing thoughts for us on midlife metabolism reset?
I would just say that, listen to your body. Listen to your body and believe it. If it says to you, I'm feeling bloated, that's it saying, don't do what you just did. Right? If it says, I feel great and alive and vibrant, that's its way of saying, do what you just did. So, feel empowered that you don't have to ask Google what you should be doing. You can literally ask your body because it's pretty gosh darn intelligent and very powerful. That's what I would say.
I love that. Kim, thank you so much for your time and expertise tonight. I know that I learned some things and I hope everybody else did. Guys, please show your love for Kim, and even put in the chat what you might have learned from her tonight. I'm sure she would love to see that. I think I just appreciate you so much. And I appreciate all of you for being here, guys. Next Wednesday, we'll be right back here, same place, same time with a new topic. Come back. I promise you learn something every week about a new topic. I'm not sure what next week's is, but come back, bring more friends, because if we can each become a little better tomorrow than we were today and help the next person, this world will be a better place. So thanks again, Kim.